Good morning. My name's Alexios, Raptor Freak. Saturday morning, Rap played a Friday night game against the New York Knicks at Scotiabank Arena last night, and it went really well. Little too close for comfort. They had to rely on some luck at the end of the game. Like, I never want to win a game where the other team has to miss and they have the chance to win, because good teams are going to execute and make those shots and beat us. So thankfully, New York is a bad team and they didn't execute and make those shots, because Randall could have made those shots at the end of the game. And it would have been a totally different kind of thing how we felt this morning, just because, but we're lucky. That's the way it goes in the NBA. The last game, we had a bad luck thing where we didn't make a shot at a half second and we lost. And in this game, we had some luck go our way. We ended up winning a game that maybe we might have lost if we, I don't want to win this way, though. We shouldn't have to worry about them making or not making a shot at the end of the game for us to win. We need to win in a more convincing fashion. But we'll take this W. Oh, yeah, we will. Because I'm going to tell you right now, New York is an ugly team. Like, I thought that they were just kind of having a little bit of trouble, but they're in a lot of trouble. Honestly, like, Kemba Walker's really screwed that team up. I don't understand why he's not playing in the rotation. I guess he's because he's not trying hard enough, and maybe he's rubbing off on the guys in a bad way or something like that. But the problem with Kemba Walker is mystifying to me, because everybody in New York was so happy to have a New York point guard and they were embracing it and stuff like that. But he's been a complete bust. And like, even just in a month of the whole season, he's been a bust. And it just doesn't make any sense to me completely. That team is in a lot of trouble. They're not really bought in. They're not trying hard. I mean, when you beat a team that you shoot worse against, like we shot worse than the Knicks did last night, and we still beat them. That says something about the other team's effort. Like, they had really poor effort last night, but we were really playing really well in different ways. And we could talk about that. Like, the defense last night was amazing last night. Like, honestly, Scotty Barnes showed another side of his defensive game last night that we haven't seen yet. And his activity all over the court on defense was fantastic. Like, was a huge factor in the game last night. And, the rebounding was super good last night also. And Scotty was a big part of that. I mean, we had a couple of guys, there were 3 double-doubles on our team last night. Pascal and Scotty both got double-doubles and rebounds and points. And then Fred got a double-double with assists and points. And that's huge. That's really good. They're collecting the stats. All right, good morning, Lumpy Rex. Good to see you this morning. Raptor Freaks, assemble! Let's go! Nick's spirit is broken right now, just like the Wiz. Wow, these 2 top teams at the beginning of the year, these darlings of the NBA. The NBA's hype machine saying, Washington's for real this year. New York's going to be the top team in the East. All this bullshit they be spouting. This is the thing. There's always a disconnect from the PR machine of the NBA and the reality of the NBA. And that's why I never listen to them when they talk about the Raptors and who we are and what's going on with us, because they don't have any good gauge or anything. Would they think that New York's this and Washington's that? So why the hell would I listen to them when they talk about Toronto? Because I can see what Toronto is with my own 2 eyes. Oh, yes, I can. Because I seen last night some more really fun goodies, some more really fun things coming up on the horizon in the future for the Raptors. Oh, yeah, I did. This is the thing I keep talking about this week. There's the difference between being a middling team that makes the playoffs and just kind of hangs around, and a team that kind of is above and beyond and elite. And the things that I'm seeing from Scotty Barnes right now makes me believe that he is above and beyond and elite. Between the no-look passing, the coast-to-coast jamming, the three-point on a spot shot, the defensive coming and helping and getting in people's faces. I realized something last night, y'all. Just because we don't have Cam and Precious, we can have a center still. And our center may be Scotty Barnes. Yeah. Like in a couple years, if we put more weight on this kid, he's only 20. He's going to get taller and he's going to get stronger. And if he doesn't get any less quicker, he could be an amazing defensive center for us. Like on the down low, we may not need to trade to get a center. that we could maybe get Scotty to become our starting center eventually, that he could be that kind of defensive player and pivot on that side of the ball. That's if we need him to be. That's the thing. We don't need to do that to him, but he has the talent and the size and the ability to do it. That on the down low, Scotty Barnes may be our starting center, and we don't even realize it yet because he just doesn't seem big enough. He's too young. He's all these other things we thought he was supposed to be. But in some ways, he's everything he could be. He's everything we could imagine him to be. He could play point guard. He could play shooting guard. He could play small forward. He can play power forward. He can play center. He can play every damn position in basketball, baby. And I'm seeing it. He can do it all, just like G just said. And I'm so impressed with what he did last night on the defensive end with the rebounding and the different things he did last night. He was so solid for us. Scotty is the future. He really is. And the stuff that Freddie was saying about Scotty after the game last night was fun. Freddie's saying, I'm on his butt. I'm telling him, you're good, man. You need to play at a high level. You need to do it all. You need to go for it. And I still feel like Scotty's not shooting enough. Like we're not getting enough offensive production out of him. So we need to figure out a way to get the ball in his hands where he's controlling our offense more often, because everything I saw last night when he touched the ball looked real good. Whether it was that pass to Pascal to Fred in the corner for that three, whether it was him passing directly to guys himself, whether it was just him getting the rebound and kicking it back out to somebody and making the right decision because you get it to somebody who can make a good open shot. Listen, we didn't shoot well last night at all. We had a very bad shooting night last night, and we still managed to win. And a lot of that is New York's garbage, and we just out-energied them. We out-energied them, outplayed them, did all the stuff that I was hoping we would do as far as winning rebound battles, 50-50 balls, just playing all out. And we look real good doing it. And New York, this is the thing. We have it way more together than these other teams because we have certain things going on in our team, like we were just talking about with New York and Washington, that aren't happening, which is that their confidence is getting weird. And meanwhile, we have guys that are seeing Scotty's potential around them, and they are feeling like, whoa, this kid's really good. We're only going to get better. So the chemistry and the team unity and the belief in how well we could do is high on our team. And then some of these other teams that are middling right now, like us, they don't have that. They don't have any kind of promise. They don't have any light at the end of the tunnel, like we were talking about this week. They see just kind of, this is going to be a grind. This is going to suck. Meanwhile, our guys are enthusiastic and excited to see what happens next, because once again, we don't have all our guys. So when they all get together, finally, we can really see how badass this team is. And in the meanwhile, we get to see how projects like Scotty develop and get better and better and better. And this is the thing. He's doing it on the job. It doesn't matter if he's like, he screws up a little bit, because we just take him out for a little bit and we adjust with him on the bench, tell him what he's doing wrong, and then he comes right back out. But man, did he play a masterful game last night, because not only did he do major things on the defensive end, like I'm saying, he started showing more on the offensive end again. Like he did that little Kevin McHale up and under move. It's kind of like an Olajuwon move right near the basket where he dipped underneath and went around Nerlens Noel. That play is so advanced, and the reason why he did it is because you got to watch out for a shot blocker like Noel when you're that close. But when you do the dip and the up and under and around him, he has no chance to block your shot. And that is a veteran mentality in knowing that and being able to do that. The things that Scotty does are throwbacks to old 80s players. Like some of them are homages. Like in that game against Boston, the second game of the season when we won, he did the little Magic Johnson baby hook across the lane. This man is very cognizant of the history of the NBA and some of the little plays that the greats have done. And in a way, he is a weird amalgamation of all these greats into one super talented, amazing athlete. And I see him do the no-look Magic Johnson passes. I see him do the claw, I'm going to get up near the basket and force the ball over you. And if I don't make it, I'm going to get my own damn rebound and put it back anyway. I've seen him do now the Kevin McHale, Akeem Olajuwon spin up and under move last night. So he's taking a little bit of pieces, the old hits. He's taking those old 80s hits off the radio and he's playing them through his new radio on his body. And it looks fantastic. It's so fun to see those Easter eggs. If you're an old fan like me and you remember the old moves, you're seeing Scotty doing them. And you're like, whoa, he just did a McHale. And you're like, whoa. And I love that. I love that he's a throwback and that he honors and respects that old part of the game because he really is. That's the kind of stuff he's doing. He's doing tributes to guys like Magic Johnson, Kevin McHale, tributes to Kawhi Leonard, tributes to Tim Duncan with his game. The way he plays, he's doing an honoring of these other players. I'm telling you, oh yeah, Slumpy Rex, his intelligence is beyond. Him and Gary Trent Jr. know how to think the game and win. Gary is the other guy I want to talk about big time today. Gary is just really, really, really becoming such a weapon. Like his steps, his side steps, his little moves to get open, and the way he makes these shots, he is. If there is any doubt that the best pure shooter on our team is Gary Trent Jr., you guys, you don't know if you think it's somebody else because this man is not only good technically with his shot, he's really good at quick shots and getting open and making his own shot. And it looks pretty when it goes in. Like when he's hitting his shot, he can get fire and he can, like Jack said last night, he can fill the bucket up real quick. Oh yeah. Like Gary can have a 30-point half. Like it's nothing. Like it's not even him trying hard. It's just him getting his shot and working to get open. And he can get 30 points for us like that quick. So these are great weapons for us to have on our team. And it's nice to have really good offensive kind of guys on this team. Because in the past, when we were in these development stages like this, we struggle a lot with our offense. And it's not just like the struggles we're seeing now where we go dry. We struggle to find people to step up and be those guys that are going to score in those tough times. And right now, it's Gary Trent Jr. and Scotty Barnes that are stepping up and filling up the basket in times when we're having a hard time. And I love that I saw Scotty take initiative last night when we were in a little bit of a lull to go down near the basket and make that really close, high percentage shot like he does. Because that's what we need. We need him and Pascal to go get those easy, close shots when we're having a hard time making the outside shot. I still can't believe we won with how bad we shot last night. Because honestly, the percentages were bad. Like they shot 36%, and we shot 35%. So we shot worse than them, and we won. I mean, that's insane. That's really awesome. And that once again, the home crowd came real. Oh, yeah, that crowd was live again last night, Friday night in the Scotiabank Arena. The crowd was great. They were fantastically loud, and they did a really good job for them in the last quarter to help them get to the end. Oh, man, it was so good. All right, let's see what's going on here. I want to keep talking here. Lumpy, yeah, man, things are feeling real good. We've broke their spirits. Things are good. Scotty can do it all. Let's see. 3 out of 4. Our bench scored 10 points last night, no center, and we still won. Yeah, Alistair. I mean, the bench production is dismal, and it looked really bad for a while there. I mean, it was all just Yuta. But what happened? Svi had a really bad first half. He didn't make his shots again the first half. He looked really like he lost his confidence. But then Nick put him back out for a second shift in the second half, and all of a sudden he got a steal, and he made some shots, and it felt so good. And he started it with a lay-in. He had to do that because sometimes when you're missing your outside shot, you got to go down low and try and make it close, and then you could come back and make it from farther away because you just got that little bit. That's the same thing that Chris has needed to do too, is go in and get some close baskets and get your feel for the basket again. And then you can stretch out your shot and move a little further out and maybe you'll make your threes. Because he looked way better in the second half, Svi Mahalik, and he started hitting his shot again. And those were big, important threes that we needed at that time. So, like when I told Fred in person when I met him, because Fred had been struggling the year before with this shot, I said, Fred, you just got to keep shooting. You're a shooter, and they're going to go in eventually. It's the same thing for Svi right now. If these shooters have to believe in their shot, even if it looks ugly and they're in a little bit of a slump, they have to keep shooting because we need them that bad. Same with Gary Trent. These guys, if they're not making their shot for most of the game, they have to keep shooting because eventually Gary's going to start making them. Eventually Fred's going to start making them. And eventually Svi will start making them. And he did last night. And he helped our points production in the end. But we still really didn't have very good points. We had 10 points off the bench last night. And some of that's just missed free throws and missing a lot of shots. I mean, collectively at the bench off the field was 3 for 17 from the field. That is awful. That's awful shooting. And a lot of that was Delano and Svi in the first half. And Chris was missing a lot of stupid shots too at times last night. But Chris played really well. And he's looked really good in the starting lineup. Not that we want him to start for now on, obviously. But sometimes getting these little starting shifts can really help jumpstart a guy, and they can play better off the bench also, give him a little more confidence. But Chris is playing really good. I'm really proud of Chris and what he's been doing. He's in the last 2 games starting. Scotty, 20. Gary, 22. Gary is team first, which some people's worried about before. Yeah, his posts all about all the team. He posts all about his team members, and when he speaks, it's about team first. Oh, yeah, he's an interesting guy because he's so flashy with his garb and his style and stuff like that. But when you hear him in the press conferences, he's all business. And he is very, very professional. He's such a professional. And I love his no nonsense kind of thing. Like the reporters will ask him some trying questions at times, and he just ain't having it. Like he'll give him a look, or he'll just be kind of like, you know what, I'm not answering that. Or like, that's why his press conferences are always the shortest. His are always like 2 to 3 minutes, and that's it. He doesn't mess around. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, we did this, we did that, and he's very professional. I love Gary. I'm really starting to love Gary Trent Jr. He was aloof and weird mystery to me last season. I didn't know what we were going to get with him, but with the added defensive side to him and the way that he's really melded with Fred VanVleet as the backcourt, those guys are a tandem now. They're a really nasty tandem. Like people, the other announcers, when they talk about our team, they say you got to worry about that backcourt stealing the ball and coming in and really guarding you well. And that's Fred and Gary together. And I love that. I love that he's getting noticed and he's feared for his defense now, not just his ability to go off and make instant offense, but his defense is something that other teams are fearing now. And that's just a testament to his work and his growth in his game personally. And I love that. And you're exactly right. Gary is a freaking team guy, and it's so awesome to see him like this. Like, what's Alistair saying about him? Gary Trent Jr., so mature for his age. He is our freaking guy. He'll show up every single night on both ends. Yeah. And I know it doesn't even seem like he's 22. That's the thing with this team. Because of some of the young players having such a high IQ and playing in really weird, like higher levels in some ways than who they are, we seem older than we are. Like Scotty doesn't play like a 20-year-old. Gary doesn't play like a 22-year-old. Precious doesn't really seem like he's as young as he is. And then we got to remember that even Fred and Pascal, as our older leaders, are not in their 30s. These are guys that are in their mid-20s still. And, we're a lot older than we are actual age. Like I keep talking about this, and people may say, oh, this is a young and inexperienced team, but we're deceivingly veteran. We're a deceivingly veteran team. Even with our young guys are kind of like Scotty, to me, plays like a vet in some ways. Like he's already came prepackaged with understanding how to do certain things with other things. And this is the thing. These guys are just fine-tuning and getting better and better with their defense and learning how to play off each other on their offense, that it's just going to get nastier and nastier. Like in some ways, we might have hit another level with Scotty Barnes on his defense last night. Like the effort and the way he was rotating and the way that he was coming to help and getting the rebounds and doing everything that he was doing, he saw that and it felt good. And you could tell that he was having a good time last night. and that he's the kind of player that doesn't get off necessarily on scoring 30 points, but maybe he really enjoys shutting down a team or playing perfect defense. And if he understands the formula for that more and more, it's just going to get nastier. Because honestly, I think Scotty Barnes may on the down low be one of the better defensive players in the draft this year. That nobody really talked about defensive players out of this draft. Everybody's talking about their offense and different things like that. But Scotty may have been maybe the best defender that came out of this draft class this year. That I really believe that just because of his versatility, his strength, and his size. So we're things are looking so good for us, guys. Like honestly, I'm giddy once again. During the first half of that game last night, I was giddy just seeing like the potential and the weapons we have and the things like that. Pascal didn't shoot well last night. Pascal had an off game, but he still was a major contributor to this win last night. He got a double-double. He did a lot of other things like drawing attention away from other guys so they got more open, and he did make some key shots when it mattered. But his overall shooting percentage was pretty garbage last night. Oh yeah, but he did a lot of really good things, and he didn't have a bad game. Like somebody may look at his box score right now and say, oh, 3 for 18, 13 points. But no, man, he played really good. He played really good. He got 7 for 8 on the line. He did miss one free throw, but hey, but the 12 rebounds and the 4 assists are huge. And that means he's engaged and he's doing a lot of good things out there. And not to mention, he was a big part of our defensive effort last night and the rotations and doing really good job and stuff like that with Scotty down low. Because without Kem and Precious, these guys have to do stuff against guys like Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle. And that's hard work. And they did an amazing job, honestly. Our defense looked so good down low, even without our centers last night, which is crazy. It was crazy. Yes, Lumpy says Scotty was taking control last night. And it was amazing. He really did. He did. A couple of times he just picked his spots and said, I'm going to go and take it. And that one straight down the lane, and then the two-handed power jam. That was beautiful. We hadn't seen that a little bit from him, but we're seeing bursts of like going all out, and whether it's on defense to come and block a shot or get a rebound or doing something like that. He recognized he had the wherewithal on the open court to recognize that he could have that open lane. And he got right through in between the middle of those two defenders right near the basket perfectly. And that was just the right timing and burst of speed to get through them where they couldn't do anything. And him realizing that and seeing the opportunity for that is so veteran and so advanced. This is not something that rookies normally are doing in the NBA. No, they're not. All right, let's keep going. Rebounds were the unsung hero for sure. And there were a couple of times where I got pissed because there were a couple long rebounds, and then New York got a second shot and they made it. But they really did shoot really piss poor last night. Like New York had a really hard time with their offense last night in all kinds of ways. Like Julius Randle used to be this unstoppable player last year. I don't understand what's happened to him just in the first month of the season, because he looked like that at the beginning of the season when we first played him. He was this guy who just made shots over us and didn't seem like we could stop him. It was just like, okay, we got to give Julius his shots and his points. He's going to get them no matter what, and we just got to try and outscore him. But I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him now. Like there's some major problems with this team. Like even when they showed a section of a little part where he came off to the bench and he's talking to Thibodeau, I don't think they take Thibodeau seriously in some ways, because the way Randall was talking to him and kind of the way there's a real serious problems in New York still. I thought that they had kind of come around the corner with their team and their problems with Dolan and different things with the management, but there's still huge problems on this team. And it's really, I'm glad we're not New York. Let's just put it that way. We have so many good things compared to these other teams we just played, Washington and New York, that we're in such a better place. Oh my gosh. Alistair, Boucher, much better player. Our defense was stellar. Boucher is playing way more engaged. He's way more active on defense. It seems like he's getting really important defensive rebounds. He's a threat to block shots. He had a couple of blocks last night that were okay. And then on the other end, I really like that he's aggressive going to the basket right now. Because like right now, he looks like 905 Chris Boucher. Because 905 Chris Boucher was not about the three-pointers. He was all about dominating down low near the basket and just making these twisty, like I'll curve around you and lay it in around you, or, avoid you that way kind of thing. That's the way he played in 905. And that's where he scored like 30 to 40 points a night doing that kind of stuff. So he has the experience. He has the moves. He has the ability to fill up the basket really close to the basket, because obviously look at him, how long he is with his arms and stuff like that. He should be able to grab these rebounds. He should be able to shoot over anybody down there and put it back in. But I really like the second chance efforts by Boucher's last night. Like, he was really going and getting offensive rebounds and putting them back and doing stuff like that. And he doesn't look as bad as some of the other big guys like Precious with the bunnies. Like, Chris is more likely to make a shot close to the basket than miss a bunny. So I'm glad that Chris is finally showing some really good positive stuff to shut up the haters, to shut up the people that were saying, oh, he's garbage, we need to trade him, all this stuff. Because like I keep saying, he's a unique talent in this league. There's nobody else in this league that's like Chris Boucher in a lot of ways. And we need to keep him because he's a really good weapon to have in all kinds of different ways. Okay, MK's talking about Svi's block. Man, and this is kind of going back to talking about what G was just saying about Gary Trent. That Svi block is all over Instagram this morning, except it's not posted by Svi. Fred VanVleet's posted his block. Gary Trent Jr.'s posted his block. I think even Scotty posted the block, the highlight of that block. The whole team was so impressed with Svi Mihalik's block in that moment. And that really kind of was a Kickstarter too. That was him saying, you know what? I'm sick of fucking up. I'm sick of looking like shit out here. I'm frustrated. I'm going to get up and I'm going to block this. And it was kind of an influence from Yuta too, because normally guys won't challenge bigger guys like that. They'll just let them through and score. But maybe Yuta Watanabe's philosophy is like, if they come 100 times, I will jump 100 times, was in effect for Svi Mihalik at that moment, because he did something that Yuta would have done, is like challenge that shot, because a lot of guys wouldn't be that brave. They would just step to the side and say, yeah, Mitchell Robinson or whoever it was, I forget. I think it was Robinson. Yeah, you can have it. You can have it. You're bigger than me. You're stronger than me. And I'll let you have it. But no, he took him and he blocked him nice. And it was a badass block. But that's the kind of thing that gets good things going for a guy. Like, they feel real good after that. And then maybe that's why his shot starts going in a little bit better too. So, man, Svi, I like his game a lot. I want him to succeed. He's just got to get his head into it and really take advantage of his opportunities. It's weird because he creates opportunities that you don't even see there. He's the kind of guy that like gets a steal on the inbounds or gets a steal all of a sudden in the middle of the game. You didn't expect him to all of a sudden, because he tricks everybody. He tricks the other team and the viewer. And then that block was kind of like that. It was kind of like a sneaky block from out of nowhere. And you're like, what did Svi just do that? And you're like, holy crap, let me see the replay, because you didn't believe that you saw it at first. You're like, did he get him clean? And he did. And it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful play. And it really jump-started him. Got to give Svi credit. He looked ugly, but finished the game strong. He really did. He had a really bad first half. It was totally two different halves for him. The second half, he was brilliant. He did a lot of really good things in it. Andrew, let's go. Beating the Knicks, exposing the Knicks. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bonga. Bang, bang, greater than. Oh, is that a Cactus Jack reference? I love that, G. Bang, bang, have a nice day. Bang, bang. Oh, I love Mick Foley. All right, let's see. Raps team players are coachable. This is huge. Oh, yeah, they're all coachable. And Fred had his little comment in the press conference last night where he said, do the guys like getting constructive criticism? He's like, no, none of them do. But they do. They get it. And like he said, Scotty's eating it up. Scotty loves talking to Fred because Fred is teaching him. He's teaching him how to play in the NBA in the right way and how to win. And these are the things that we had to lose a game. Like, listen, that game against Oklahoma City where we got it taken away from us, like that what really taught us to really cherish and honor and protect winning a game. That you really have to, that was a really good lesson in a lot of ways, that we had the win and we had that feeling and that celebration and the whole crowd going crazy. And then it was snatched away from them. And in some ways, that teaches you better than a close win. That a close loss, a heartbreaking loss like that at the last second, and having all the good feelings stripped away from you in that quickness by the stupid ass ref saying, the game's over, go home. That will teach players more motivation in some ways to never let that happen again. That you don't want to get in that situation to feel like that again. And I love that that happened in some ways. That if we're going to have a stupid game like that where we lose at 0.1 seconds of the game, I'm glad it happened that way, because that will stick with them. That will make them cherish and understand and protect the whole idea of how to build to a win and get there. And the other part of it that I love about it is that Fred and Pascal both missed free throws in that game. And that made them re-up on, we have to be better leaders. We have to do better. And you could tell they were doing better at the free throw line last night. They took Pascal, first of all, when he had his first free throw last night, he took his time before he just shot it. He dribbled for a bit. He breathed. He took himself a second to collect himself, and he made the free throw. And that's what they need to do. They need to concentrate and think about those kind of things too. And that leads for the other guys. Because before the game, I saw Chris Boucher shooting free throws for 15 minutes on the pregame feed, just out there shooting free throws. Chris Boucher just shooting free throws over and over again. He didn't shoot anywhere else. He was just shooting free throws, practicing them before the game. So that's a big part of it. That loss was a huge win in some ways for us, because we needed that kind of a loss to really know the stakes of what they're playing for. So I really love that. Okay, let's see. Alistair, we have number one player in the deepest draft since 2003. Scotty might be the best rookie since LeBron James. I believe this. I really do. Like my eye test, when I saw his physical gifts and what's your knock on him? He can't shoot. Okay, we can teach him that. If that's his only problem, hey, that's perfect. But to me, in the eye test, I saw something special in him. I seen like generational talent, because even in the summer league, he did shit that looked like Kawhi Leonard. Like he was doing his shot. One point, he dribbled down the court and he just rose up and shot a three over a guy with him right in his face. It looked like Kevin Durant. It looked like a Kevin Durant three-point shot with the guy in his face, and it didn't matter that he couldn't do anything because he was so much taller and longer than him that he couldn't guard him. There's nothing he could do. So I saw these kind of things in him early, and I was like, this guy is for real. And this guy is the kind of guy that's going to make Toronto a badass team again in some ways, because he is a true superstar. And I really do believe he's a generational talent. That Scotty Barnes on the down low is the generational talent that's come out in the last 10 years. He's the number one best player that has come out in the next 10 years, like in between 5 years before him and 5 years after him. He's the best player. And he's going to be more and more like that. And people are going to see that more and more. And of course, the other teams are going to try and lure him. They're going to try and do all this kind of stuff. But we need him to be loving Toronto, be embraced by Toronto, and just love being here. I think that that's happening, because honestly, you can really see that the team's becoming a band of brothers. Like, whereas a team like New York or Indiana and stuff like that, they're disintegrating. They're having problems keeping it together, staying together on the same page. We're becoming a band of brothers. And you can really see it in the way they interact on the court. Like, Gary is tight with everybody. Fred is a perfect kind of leader, an understanding but strong and hard leader, but a really good leader also, because he's connected and they all respect and love him. Pascal, the same kind of thing. I loved seeing Scotty do that little dumb Instagram thing where Pascal was his favorite player, and he's like at the 905 game. That's so silly and dumb, but that's the kind of thing that Scotty is showing, the respect he has for Pascal Siakam running alongside him. And I just really do get that vibe, that there's certain things that connect these guys, whether it's video games, fashion, being in the NBA and being young or whatever, that they really are gelling and becoming like a band of brothers, that they're in this together, that they're in the trenches together, and they're all for one and one for all. And that's not always the case on most NBA teams. There's going to be some stratosphere where there's LeBron and Russell, and then there's everybody else, that kind of stuff. But on this team, it's all for one and all one for all. And it really, you can see that gelling, that these guys are family with each other. And the fun thing about this is that it's Scotty's first team, and this will always be important and special to him. No matter what, if they try and come and take him and he goes somewhere else, God forbid. I just want him to stay here with us for the whole career if he can. But this is in our favor, that he could really fall in love with Toronto and really enjoy playing with these guys that are with him, then he'll stay long term. Because this is what I'm thinking about right now. I really am thinking long term about him, and I'm worried about the NBA falling in love with him and trying to steal him from us. And I know that they're going to try and do this no matter what. I mean, it happens to a degree with every good player we have, whether it's OG, Pascal, Fred. It happens, but they're really going to come after Scotty, because they're going to see how much he is head and above the rest. And he is this generational talent we're talking about, like a LeBron James. He really is that kind of guy. And I'm willing to say that right now. I don't think it's putting any extra pressure on him, because he's going to get there. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So let's see. G says Pascal had 12 rebounds and 4 assists and was the main defender in the last Knicks shot. Yeah, he did a lot of good intangibles. This is the thing. I said this at the beginning of the season. We can't look at the box score and judge guys individually for what they do, because on some nights their box is going to look like garbage, but they're going to do huge things to help us win, and it doesn't matter, because ultimately all we care about is the W. And if Pascal shoots 3 for 18 and he doesn't get 20 points, so what? We won, But certain Raptor fans will want to point to that kind of stuff and make a negative big deal about it in stupid ways and stuff like that. And I'm just like, shut up. You just want something to complain about. Let's be happy we won. Hey, things are good. Kenrick, good morning, man. Always happy to see you here, man. Would be interesting to see the team at full strength. Really would. I mean, we've been cheated of this so far this year. Whether it's been, they said it last night, we haven't had all of them together at all. It's either been Pascal out or OG been out, and Chem. So once we get them all back, we have problems, because we don't know who's going to get the minutes or what like this. But this means that guys that are on the bench that aren't making the shot are definitely not going to be playing. So, you may get a chance to come in for a second Delano or Svi or Malachi or Chris or something like that. But if you aren't productive, if you aren't contributing or playing all out, you're not going to get to play. Like this, when we get these 2 guys back, 3 guys back, Precious, Chem, and OG, the minutes will be gone. So you need to make the best of the time now to showcase that you may deserve time in the rotation later. Because the only guy I've seen out of that bench group that deserves rotation minutes every single night is Yuta Watanabe. And that's purely on effort and energy and everything that he's putting out there. Now, if everybody on the bench played like Yuta all out all the time, then I'd say they could be in the rotation for sure too. But they all haven't proven it yet. Chris is close, but all of them have not proven it to me yet. So that's going to be a big thing. I'm loving it too, Kenrick. Hopefully we get a Christmas present. Wouldn't that be awesome? We saw them all together like around Christmas, maybe for the Boxing Day game or something like that. I think it's Cleveland this year. We're playing Cleveland on the Boxing Day game or something. That would be fun. I think Boucher has the longest wingspan on the team. Before in training camp, who actually had the longest wingspan in the team before we cut him was Freddie Gillespie. Freddie Gillespie on the down low had the longest wingspan out of everybody on the training camp. So think about that. But I'm not sure who's second. I know Scotty's pretty up there too. Scotty, Chris, Precious. I mean, it could be one of these guys. Like, I'm not sure, but it probably maybe is Chris. But it was Freddie Gillespie in the first before the season started. Freddie was the guy with the longest wingspan. Kenny, good morning, man. Good to see you, man. What a day. We beat New York. Woo, woo, woo. I wasn't happy Siakam couldn't post up Rose for the last shot. You mean at the end of the game? Listen, I want to keep the other team guessing. Sometimes we go to Pascal too much at the end of the games, and that the other team knows that. So I really want to see, like we said, let's see Gary take the last shot. Let's see Scotty take the last shot. We've seen success from these guys, especially last night. So it doesn't always have to be Fred and Pascal. So, but Pascal wasn't really hitting his shot in some ways. Like, he was getting bad rolls. There was a lot of that again last night, where the ball would go around a little bit in the hoop, and then it seemed like it was going to drop, but it didn't. It'd fall out, and that's annoying. But let's get it all out of the way in a game where we still can win. Because when we play a really good team, the New York's not a good team. We're not going to win a game like we played last night. Like, if we had been playing against 10 of the best teams in the league, we would have lost the game last night. We had to be playing against a shitty team to play like that and win, because it wasn't our defensive effort that was bad. Is our offense was really bad last night in some ways. Like, we were missing too many shots last night. And some of them were open and some of them were contested, but some of them just didn't fall in. And sometimes that's the basketball gods and luck and whether the ball's falling for you or not. And it wasn't helping us last night. We didn't have good luck with the shots going in last night, which is too bad because it was tough. Starscream, good morning, man. Glad to see you here again. This is our Nets fan. He wants to be here after we play New York or the Brooklyn, of course. Lexi, second best team in the division. I told you the other three teams were frauds. You were exactly right, Starscream. I'm going to give you major credit because earlier in the season when we beat New York and you came around and you were talking to us then, you were telling me they were a fraud. And I didn't necessarily believe you at that time. I really was standing up for them at that time. I was saying, yeah, I don't know. I think New York is pretty good this year. But you were right. You were right. I'm going to say it right now. I was wrong. And they are a fraud. And I didn't understand because I thought that they really did have good pieces. I mean, they have a great coach. I thought that Kemba was a great fit and it would make sense. And like New York would be so happy and fall in love. But alas, I don't know. Maybe James Dolan did some stupid shit behind the scenes. Like he had some sort of weird event behind the scenes for the players. And they're just like, why the fuck am I playing for this team? Because something's wrong with their chemistry. Something's wrong with there's a lot wrong there. And the announcers are trying to say they just want RJ Barrett to step up and be a superstar for them. And that will solve everything. That they think that they have a bunch of guys that aren't alpha enough, that they have a team that's too nice. There's nobody that's just trying to take over. And like Julius was that guy last year for them kind of, but they don't have anybody this year that's kind of stepping up and taking the leadership mantle. And they're all calling and crying out for RJ to do it. And I think RJ in some ways does a lot of what they're saying. It's just he's so young. He's still developing. He's not really ready to fall right completely into that role. But man, you were right. You were right, Starscream. I got to give you credit. And we're seeing your guys real soon. I think we see them on Tuesday. So yeah, it's a back-to-back. We got to play Sacramento here, and then we go to Brooklyn and play the Nets on Tuesday night. So that's going to be tough. All right, Ken A. Remember we replaced Matt Thomas with Svi. That's a huge upgrade. That's a beautiful upgrade. Svi is a totally different kind of player than Matt Thomas. He's got a lot more defensive skills than Matt Thomas does. He's got better rebounding skills. He's also, I think he's a better shooter in some ways than Matt Thomas, just because he can make his shot better than Matt Thomas. Matt Thomas needed to get shots created for him by other guys off passing to him. But Svi can actually dribble and kind of get open with some moves here and there and stuff like that. So it is a huge upgrade. And it's a very different kind of player in some ways. Because like Matt Thomas is a good guy, but he really is just a shooter. And like Sam Decker was more like the upgraded Matt Thomas in some ways. But he's gone too. Thanks for the correction, Starscreen. Ken A. Scotty is retiring a Raptor period. I really believe that when Kyle left and Scotty came, it was the end of the Kyle Lowry era, and it's the beginning of the Scotty Barnes era. That there really isn't a Fred or a Pascal era. They're both in half and both, but that's the cut line. That's Kyle left and we drafted Scotty, and that there was a Kyle Lowry era of the last 10 years with everything that happened with him and DeMar up to the championship, and now we're at this new era of the Scotty Barnes era. That really is what we're in now. And it's not the other guys. And it's not a slight to them. It's just that's a really easy way to delineate the two eras because they happened at the same time, Kyle leaving and him coming. So, and Scotty is that kind of transformative player on your franchise, that kind of important franchise kind of player like Kyle is in some ways. And in some ways, he's way better than Kyle. He's way, way, way better than Kyle in a lot of ways. Okay, let's see. Scotty's competitive. I believe he is like Giannis and will want to win for Toronto. I hope so. If he can be like Giannis and be like loyal to his team and his city and stay here, oh man, you know what? You would get the blessings back so much more, Scotty, tenfold. If you are smart enough to see this as a youngster and see that, like, if you go somewhere else, nothing's for granted. You have a lot of good things here, and you need to appreciate them. Because if you got drafted to Orlando, your life would be a lot different right now in some ways, and you would not be happier. I think you're way happier here in Toronto. So remember this and realize this every time your contract comes up, Scotty, because the grass isn't greener on the other side. You can ask Tracy McGrady. You can ask Vince Carter. The grass is not greener on the other side. You don't ask Chris Bosh, but because that was kind of some bullshit that happened there. But ask Tracy McGrady, ask Vince Carter, should they have left Toronto? And then you'll get your answer. Because they both regret leaving Toronto at this point, because they realized that there were certain things that if they had stuck around and did a couple things here, that things could have been different. So I know that Vince left because of management and all this kind of bullshit, but he still regrets it. Like he wishes he hadn't left Toronto the way that he did, because obviously, he kind of pissed everybody off. And, he really wishes Tracy had stayed. Sure. Let's see. Okay. Alistair, Barnes appreciates what we did, believing in him by choosing drafting him over Suggs. And G backs that up, believes that 100%. Yeah, I think that this is something. Once again, Masai didn't want to buy the NBA line that we were going to just take Suggs, because that's who they were trying to funnel to us, because they knew Scotty was who he was. Like, some of these experts really did know on the down low, and they're trying to keep him quiet. And it really was the kind of thing where they wanted him to go to Orlando, and we didn't fall for their stupid shit. And we took the best player because we knew who the best player was. And I'm so glad we did, because honestly, he should have been number one in this draft. He should have maybe been he could have been number one in a lot of the drafts in the last couple of years, Scotty, just because he's just got all the tools. And the thing is, he's already really good, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better the more he understands what he can do and how much he can influence the game and take control of the game. He's going to get better and better. He's going to be this kind of dude that can take over a game and win games at any time, just like Kawhi. He's going to be that kind of game. I really see it. Criscom, what would you do with Flynn? I was expecting so much more. Flynn has his place on the team just as a scrappy backup point guard. Like, there's still little guys on other teams that we need to worry about. Like, he has his place to do some things for us. There's some problems with Malachi's confidence right now, and his shot. If he just make his shot, it'd be so much easier to be into him. But, he did do good last night. He played good defense. He ran the team pretty well. He set up some guys for good shots. He didn't make his own shots, which is too bad. But he did set up some offense and get some assists. And I think that also Malachi needs to play more on 905. I don't understand why they're not playing him as a regular 905 guy. He's only gone down there and played once for them. I think he needs to be down there more. And don't worry about point guard depth after Fred, because we can make that up with Scotty. We can make that up with Delano. And let Malachi go down there, because he needs that more. He needs that to build his confidence. He needs more time and more reps that way, because he's not getting enough reps on the main team. And I don't like this. I think he should be on 905. I think that's a big part of it, because he's only in his second year, and his first year was all messed up because it was in Tampa. So Knicks look miserable. I think there's some locker room problems. Oh, yeah, there's some major locker room problems. Like, they're just not together. This is going to be a problem for some of these teams that they put together, like Washington. They don't fit in some ways, like the personalities or the people that are on the teams. They don't gel, because there's obviously a problem with Kemba and the rest of the team or something like that. I don't know what the fuck happened with Kemba or why he fell off this far. Like, he should be in the rotation. He's a good player. This guy was an all-star a couple of years ago. So what? He's not even playing anymore, and they can't even use him. What is going on there? That's what I'm wondering, because it seems like he's the central part of the problems with them. And what is it exactly? It's very weird. It's very, 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 very weird. Starscream, New York makes you lazy. There's so many things to focus on besides basketball. Look at Harden. He's been playing like garbage for us. There is a lot of truth to this. That playing for the big market team in big market New York, this has been a tough mantle. That is really, you got to suss out all the noise. You got to suss out all the distractions and really focus. And sometimes guys come to New York for the wrong reasons. They come there to be on a big stage. They come there to become more of a star, to get more exposure, to be, they don't come there for the right reasons sometimes. And that's part of what has plagued that franchise for a long time, the Knicks, is that, they don't get enough of the right people coming there at the right time. Some of them are there for the wrong reasons. And then it's like they can't get some people to come because they look so bad. So there's a lot of there's water coming in on their ship and they're trying to bail it out, but the water just keeps coming in. And some of that water is coming from their owner. And some of that water is coming from the New York press. And some of that water is coming from the New York fans who are super, super hard on their team and also very, unforgiving, and they get pissed off, and they have not a lot of patience right now because it's been years. What is Clyde Frazier is calling the game? He's the only guy who's got rings for that franchise, and that happened in the mid-'70s. So it's like, I understand that's really could be a huge problem. New York it's a hard place to play. It doesn't matter what sport it is. It could be football, it could be baseball, it could be hockey, it could be basketball. It's hard to play in New York just in general. And it takes a tougher kind of person to take that mantle and say, I'm going to be Captain Nick and be the guy who's the face of the franchise and take all the lumps and all the negative stuff that comes with trying to be the face of the New York Knicks franchise. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. And they may have a good base and kind of place of kind of function without all the dysfunction from Dolan right now, but they still don't have the right ingredients, obviously. And that's just, that's tough. What he's saying is totally true. And like the Harden stuff, I don't know why, James Harden is an anomaly all in itself. This is the guy who's going to get wings in Atlanta at the strip club in the middle of the COVID protocols and stuff like that. James, I don't know what's going on in James Harden's head. I don't even try to know or figure out that. At least he's not like Kyrie. Come on. Let's give him that at least. Alistair, when Scottie was drafted, Lowry was still on the team, so technically they were together. Yeah, I guess they were together for a month, maybe something like that. I guess you're right. We could technically say that, but we really knew Kyle was on his way out. We already knew. We don't need a tampering case and them to lose a second round pick to know that they'd been talking about this since the season. Like even in the middle of the season, he probably knew exactly what he was going to do. Leading into the Lakers game that he played his last game as a Raptor. He's like, I'm going to make this my last game as a Raptor, playing against the Lakers. I'm going to beat LeBron one time, run real quick, and then I'm out, guys. Sorry, that's it. I really think that a lot of what Kyle did this past season was very premeditated. With all kinds of, because he even started talking about his house, and he sold his house in the middle of the season last year. So this was all like in the cards and was working towards what happened with him in the sign and trade with Miami was all like part of the script for like 6 months before it actually even happened. So I don't know. I still don't think they line up. You're technically right, Alistair. I like that. It's funny. Love this Starscream. A Nets fan comes here with good energy. Yeah, we invited all other teams fans to come here. We've had a Knick fan at one time. We had a Warriors fan came here one day, and he was correcting me on all kinds of stuff. He was really mad, actually, because I didn't give the Warriors any credit for being a good defensive team. And I probably should have, because after the game when we played them, I was like, yeah, they are a good defensive team. So, but yeah, I love that. I want people to come and see. I don't tag the other teams on here, but, if they find me and discover me, they want to talk and see what we're saying here in Raptorland. Hey, that's all fine and stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't think I'll mess up the team, give away any secret plays. All right, let's see. Tracy and Vince both said in an interview they regretted leaving. Yeah, they really did. I think Tracy way more than Vince. And it took Vince longer to realize that he regretted leaving Toronto, because I don't think that Vince really understood the impact that he was having here, that how much he really did make the sport of basketball explode in Canada. And that now all the young players that are from Canada that are playing in the league right now, they really all point directly at Vince for being the inspiration, the guy who brought them there. And I don't think that he took that in that moment as a Raptor, take that to heart enough. He should have realized how much he was important to this country and what he was doing. And then in some ways, the way he acted and the way he left was so disappointing and so disheartening that he could have had this country, and he could be like Gretzky right now in this country. If he had stayed with Toronto for a long time and actually maybe won something here, he would be that kind of an icon in this country. But in some ways, he kind of messed his career up because he went to New Jersey and, he did okay there. He played a lot better all of a sudden in New Jersey, pissed us all off. And he did okay there with Jason Kidd and Richard Jefferson. And, they did a little bit there, but they really didn't do a whole lot. And then he went to Orlando, and that was a mess. And then he was just bouncing from team to team. And then his identity in his career is just kind of like an everyman on every team. And I just played in 4 decades and I did this. And I'm just a nice guy. I'm an ambassador for the team, for the league. But he never has an identity with one single team. And really, the one single team he still does kind of have an identity with is us still. Even with him going to New Jersey, then we don't think about him with the New Jersey franchise. No offense, Starscream, because I know he did have a fruitful time in New Jersey with you guys, but he is really thought of as a Raptor in some ways, just because that's where he's drafted. That's where he did Air Canada, the slam dunk competition, and he was in his heyday. That's when he was scoring 50 points against the Phoenix Suns on a Sunday afternoon on the first game ever televised on NBC of the Toronto Raptors. I was at that game, and I met Tracy McGrady after the game, and he signed my ticket. I was drunk as fuck, and I was an idiot, and Tracy yelled at me, but I don't care because I met Tracy McGrady, and he signed my ticket the day that Vince scored 50 against the Suns on NBC. So, yeah, he should have taken it more seriously here. He should have understood the legacy that he could have built here in Canada. Then he kind of threw it away. With that. And I know a lot of that was Rob Babcock's fault. Rob Babcock was an idiot, but it's really like Vince didn't know whether to weather that storm with that bad GM and what was going to happen with us, because we were really in a bad place. Like as a team, as franchise, we were in a bad place. We were mismanaged. We had horrible coaching. We had all kinds of stupid shit going on. So, all right, let's keep going. Starscream, Lowry was the only Raptor I disliked. Now that he isn't on your team. I love that. This Nets fan telling me that Lowry was the only guy he hated on our team. And now that he's not on our team, I think that he likes the Raptors now. So that's cool, man. We're fun to watch, honestly. Like, I think any NBA fan, this is the injustice of the NBA league being so American biased down there. It's all these American fans aren't getting to see the amazing, exciting brand of basketball the Raptors are playing now. Like, they should be on TV more just solely for the stuff that Scottie could possibly do in the game. Like the things that he was doing last night, like that coast-to-coast two-handed jam, that's the kind of stuff that NBA fans eat up. And the way we play with alley-oops and our style is just fun to watch. It's an entertaining kind of basketball. So the NBA is kind of shooting themselves in the foot, having a blind spot for our franchise on their schedule in the States, because I think more people really enjoy watching Raptor games, and they don't realize it right now. Maybe because of our record, maybe because of different things, but it's an exciting brand of basketball to watch. So, I think that more people will realize that as Scottie gets more attention, because that'll draw even more fans to the Raptors. There's fans. I know people in Tallahassee at Florida State are more Raptor fans all of a sudden just because Scottie's on our team now, and they are fans of him from being on FSU. So now we've got more fans in not only in Tampa, but in Tallahassee also. So, all right, let's keep going. Lowry's an acquired taste. We love him, but he has that edge and was a pest. Oh, yeah. You know what? There's all kinds of reasons why you would hate Lowry if you're rooting for the other team, because sometimes you want him on your team. Like this is what Miami was for years and years. They've had a hard on to get Kyle Lowry on their team. And they were always, people would be like, I hate him. I hate him. But you'd love to have him on your team. That's the kind of player he is. He's like, you hate him when you're not playing against him. But if he's on your team, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad he's on our team. He's amazing. So, and this is the great thing about us having so much time with him, is even when we play him later this season in Miami, we're going to have that kind of appreciation for him still and love for him, even though like we should be hating him now, because he's going to probably do some stuff that he does that piss stuff like Starscream pissed him off, is going to be doing stuff to us now. He'll be taking charges against our guys and stuff like that. But yeah, man, Lowry's he's an amazing guy. I can't hate him, man. I can't hate him. Because I have close family members that hated him the whole time he was with the Raptors, because they thought he was selfish, that he took too many. Like they always hated that he dribbled the ball down the court and take a three without letting the offense set up. And he's like, "What is that? That's not good fundamentals. You got to let your offense set up and just take a three like that." He really hated him for that. My cousin Sean. Yeah, Starscream. Yeah, your dislike stems from the fact that he killed us. Yeah. This is the same thing with every kind of thing. Like I hate Kevin Durant to a certain extent, just because he used to kill us so bad when we was on the Thunder. Like when they would come to Toronto, I was just talking about this the other day. Kevin Durant would be like playing like he had like a personal vendetta against the city of Toronto. Like, he hates Toronto for some reason, but he also loves Toronto because he said he was a Vince fan, just like I was talking about. All these guys were Vince fans who were Toronto fans when they're kids. And he kind of wanted to be drafted by the Raptors. Like, when he first came to the league, they were like one of his favorite teams. But that love for the Raptors has turned into like this hate. And obviously part of it has to do with the finals and what happened with us with Golden State. But he really does have like this animosity towards our team. Like, when we play you guys next Tuesday, I'm fully expecting Kevin Durant to look so pissed off and just be like a surgeon out there, just dissecting our defense and just killing us with these shots and just getting points whenever he wants. So yeah, he's that kind of player too. Like, I hate Durant, but I love his game and I respect how good he is. Oh yeah, you have to respect Durant, because I've seen him come back, just single-handedly bring the Thunder back against us in games in the past and like win against us, like just by making crazy shots, putting in a double overtime and just making the game keep going. Like, oh my gosh, could somebody get Durant? All right, let's keep going. All right, let's see. Okay, Starscream said, yep, Knicks started 5-1, and their fans acted like they win the championship. Knicks fans are the most delusional in pro sports. I was hoping I was the most delusional fan in pro sports, the way I talk about the Raptors, and everybody thinks I'm crazy saying that they could win the championship at the beginning of the year and stuff like that. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think it's just this years and years of pain that they want to make something good start to happen, and that's where the delusion is driven from, is from that pain. So as soon as they see signs kind of pointing towards positive things happening, they really want to go with that inertia and push it going that way. And maybe even they just tell themselves, oh, this is how it is. Yeah, no, we're fine. Everything's okay. My foot isn't on fire. It's that kind of delusion that they want. It's so bad that they'll overlook a lot of stuff and like, well, oh yeah, Kemba, whatever. We're still good. We're still going to be good and stuff like that. But I totally see what you're saying, because they started so strong and the NBA hype machine was in full effect for them, just like pushing them and stuff like that. And then they crumbled. And this thing is like, it's amazing. It's really interesting, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Okay, Starscream saying when Vince Carter played for the New Jersey Nets, he felt like he underachieved with them also. I think that this is the kind of thing with all players, that once you decide you want to dog it for whatever reason, and you're like, you may not ever get it back. Like, you don't mess with that. You don't mess with that good mojo, that good, like, all around, like, I'm a badass. I can score and do whatever I want. Oh, the team is pissing me off. The general manager is an idiot. He won't let my mom park wherever she wants in the arena. So I'm not going to try as hard. Well, you know what? Can you turn it back on? Can you ever turn it back on fully to that level that you had it before with Toronto, where you were all out and you were really trying hard? Because I feel like that's what partly happened to Vince, is that once he turned it off and started dogging at us for us at the end of his Toronto career, he didn't really fully ever turn it back on his whole career. He had flashes of brilliance and he did like amazing plays from here to here, but he never really had it all together again on any of the teams he was on. Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Memphis, whoever he was with. And that really hurt him. That hurt his stock in the league. That hurt him as a superstar. You notice he didn't get any all-stars for a while, like most of the end of his career. So, that's the thing. You don't want to mess with that as a player. And I hope that Scotty realizes too. Don't ever try and turn yourself off just because of some stupid shit, spite or whatever it is, unhappiness, because you may not get it back. And I think that that's part of what happened with Vince in his career, is he lost it after he turned it off and started dogging for us. So, hey, Darren, back home, they played better in the last loss versus this win. You're right. That's a really good point. Darren's saying we played better against Oklahoma City than we played against New York, but we lost that game and we won the game against New York. That's the thing about it, is you can give an impressive, really good effort and lose a game, and you can have a shitty night and still win a game. That's just the way the NBA is. Every night is a different story that unfolds, and you don't know what's going to happen necessarily. The refs may try and saddle some fouls on somebody, or this may happen, or, whatever happens. We just got to see how it unfolds. And Darren's exactly right. We played way better against Oklahoma City, deserved that win way more than the one last night, but we got the win last night. So in a way, it kind of cancels out. We got the win that we needed for Wednesday in a game that we probably shouldn't have won. So, hey, it works out. I'm a fun guy. I swear I love Scotty so much. Oh, my God. Last night was amazing to watch him. I'm with you. I'm with you on that love fest, because this kid, all these signs and different things we're seeing. Like he's really getting more active on stealing the ball now. His blocking shots, the rebounds have been super impressive to me, especially since Precious and Kem have been out. He's really trying to carry that defensive rebounding around the basket, and he's a super tough presence to shoot around near the basket also. His defensive ability near the basket down low is a lot better than I thought. And that's why I was saying earlier in the stream that our center of the future may be Scotty. That we need, maybe we don't need to go get a center. We can just kind of modify his play on the defensive end and he becomes our defensive center. But maybe on the other end, he's a point guard. That's the crazy thing about this positionless thing, because like, you know, we may be saying, oh, we're going positionless, but there's one guy on this team that truly is completely positionless. And that's Scotty Barnes, because he can play the 1 through 5 and he can guard all 5 of them too. So that's insane. That is truly insane. And that's part of why I think he's a generational talent, because he can do so many different things that Jalen Green can't. He can do so many things that Jalen Suggs can't, that he can do it all. He basically can do it all in this league. He can do whatever the fuck he wants on the court. And it's just more and more that he realizes and picks his spots and understands the signs of when he can take advantage of things and doing it. And he's going to do that more and more as time goes on. We're going to see this more and more. He's just going to be better and better. Star Screams, Raptors have no divas. They come to play every night. Yeah, I talk about the stratosphere, that they stratify the team with different levels of elite to like journeyman and, you know, below and all this stuff. And the Lakers are really, really good example of that, that there's a stratosphere that LeBron is in by himself. And then maybe you have the next tier with Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. And then, you go further and further down. And these guys treat themselves differently than the other guys. And that causes real problems on teams. I think this is partly on the down low why LeBron's teams aren't successful in the last couple years, is because that stratifying of the talent and the different people on the team is kind of, it turns off different players and hurts unity. It hurts unity. And one of the things that we did really smart in the last 10 years as a franchise in Toronto is that DeMar and Kyle always stayed with the team. They didn't take time off. They didn't miss practices. They didn't do things like other superstars on other teams would do to cause a difference between them and the other people on the team. They always were there and they were a part of the whole collective, and they didn't separate themselves. And I think that down low on a lot of NBA teams, this is a problem, that there's a certain stratifying between talent, between the upper talent. And because the Raptors there's so many different guys that could be the best guy. It's not totally clear who the best player on the Raptors is right now. You could say it's Pascal. You could say it's OG. You could say it's Scotty. You could say Precious might be the best player eventually. You don't know. So there's no way of really having a head above the shoulders that's like, I'm better. I deserve more treatment. And we wouldn't settle for that anyway. This is part of the reason why Kawhi didn't totally fit with us, that we put up with his bullshit like that. And it was a distraction. Around Christmas, the championship year, Kyle got really pissed off about the way Kawhi was getting treated. And that was the whole reason when Kyle went to the end of the bench and started wearing a towel on his head in those games. He was protesting Kawhi getting load management games off, being exempt from going to certain team functions, because that's not the way that they'd done it for years and years with him and DeMar. And then all of a sudden, Kawhi comes in there, he gets special treatment, and Kyle was pissed. And that's why that was the whole problem around Christmas of the championship year. And they had to figure it out. And basically what they did was Masai and Nick took Kyle and said, look, this guy's going to help us win a championship if you just chill out and let us do it the way we're doing it. But see, if Kawhi had stayed, that problem would have gotten worse, because that's what he wanted. To stay in Toronto. He told Masai, he's like, I want to be in charge of who can come and go as a GM in this team. I want to be the guy who says who we get and who we trade away. And that's what he's been doing in the Clippers for the last couple of years. And we see where that works out and how that works out. And we were like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to give you that kind of power. You can walk. And that's basically what happened with him going to the Clippers. And then the Clippers kowtowed to him and said, yeah, we'll get Paul George and we'll mortgage the future for you to get Paul George. And that was their sign that they were going to kowtow to him and let him be the GM. So he's like, yeah, I'll go to the Clippers. So that was a big part of that whole thing. I know I just talked about a whole bunch of different shit right there, but that was all the underlying shit that was going on with that whole year and stuff like that. But that's a big part of it is if you can have a team without divas, if you can have a team without a stratified layers of different. I know it's hard with your team, Starscream, because you have above and beyond probably the best player in the league. Like if I'm not arguing LeBron in that argument, it's either your guy or it's Giannis. So it's tough. And I know Kevin's not really like that. He's a team-oriented guy, and he's probably more like, but the other guys on your team, they're more like that. Oh, yeah. Kyrie and James, both those guys get stratified for sure. And I bet Durant does to an extent too. And that's tough. That's tough to do because then you got Joe Harris, you got other different guys on your team, and they're seeing the different treatment and stuff like that. And that kind of hurts unity in some ways. I really believe that. And the old NBA, the top guys like Magic and Larry and Michael, now they were involved in everything and they were part of the team. It's not like how it's been in the last couple decades where the team leaders have kind of separated themselves from the team and become more than them. And I don't like that. That's part of the problem with LeBron's league is that's what he's kind of created. And the less teams are like that going in the future, because that's not what it's going to be like. When LeBron retires, this league's going to change a lot. Like they're not going to allow a player to come in and get as much consolidated power as LeBron has had ever again. They really won't, the NBA, because they realize how much power he's had and how he's kind of wrecked free agency in different ways and player movement from team to team. That like LeBron has kind of been bad for the game in that way. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like even your guy, he's been an issue at sometimes like leaving Oklahoma City, then coming from Golden State to you guys and stuff. He's kind of part of it too. Like when he leaves the league, it is going to change because those two guys are really the two superstars that are above and beyond everybody else in the field. And Giannis isn't like them. Giannis is a team guy. Giannis is in there in the trenches with his guys. So it's a tough thing. I'm not saying Kevin's like that. I think Kevin's a team guy, and I think he's a good player, and he's good for his teams. But James, maybe not. I mean, I know Kyrie isn't. Oh, my gosh. Let's see. Darren, Scotty needs to start taking over more games. Yes. He doesn't know exactly when to pick his spots yet or take advantage of those spots. And maybe some of the times he's not exactly seeing his spots for taking advantage of them, but he's going to get there. He's going to get there more and more, and we're going to see it unfold more and more. And that's part of the fun is because we're going to have some of these oh shit moments where like, oh crap, we didn't realize he was going to just do that he's going to do something amazing every single game we see him. And it's not always going to be dunks. It's going to be defensive plays. It's going to be rebounds. It's going to be a steal. It's going to be all kinds of different stuff he does. NBA Instagram is actually posting raps more. Yeah, well, they should because, like I said, there's good highlights. There's good excitement. Scotty Barnes is a great marketable star for this league, and they're going to do that. Hopefully, they can treat it like Vince Carter and make him huge. Like he's going to be a second Vince Carter kind of phenomenon in this country. He's going to make more kids want to play. They want to be Scotty Barnes like they wanted to be Vince 20 years ago. So he's going to do that. He's going to have the same kind of effect that Vince had in the long run. If he gets to stay here and play here for a long time and he develops and becomes a player like Kawhi Leonard, then yeah, he's going to be that kind of guy for sure for this country all over again. Darren, I'm with you on the not liking Svi. Can't hit more than 2 threes in a game. CJ Miles all over again. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Svi. I really like Svi. And I think he's a good role player for this team. I think he's really good for this team. It's just I've been on him because he hasn't been hitting his shot. And it's just him making it more consistent. And the problem I had with him earlier this week was he wasn't just missing his shot. He was messing up on the court defensively and causing turnovers. And that's where I started to have a problem with him. It's okay if he takes shots, they're open, and he misses them from time to time. But I want him to make them more often. But it's way, way more egregious and wrong for him to mess up his defense also on top of that. And that's really what got him in trouble with the Oklahoma City game and Nick Nurse pulling him and not letting him play in the second half is that his defense was absolute garbage besides the missing shots. And, oh my gosh, Darren, you just said that Svi needs a GoDaddy commercial. No, man, we killed that curse. We don't need any kind of GoDaddy commercial crap. The best ones were the ones with Jonas when he had those little guys that he was painting. Do you guys remember that commercial when Jonas Valanciunas had the GoDaddy commercial? And it was like Jonas's little miniatures. And he was painting like mini figures of himself. That was the best one. I love that one. And you notice when they, after CJ left, Actually, last year, you know who did the GoDaddy commercials? I think it was Muggsy. They actually picked a former Raptor to do it instead of having a current Raptor, just to get around these problems with the supposed GoDaddy curse, which is so messed up. I mean, yeah, Norman had kind of a bad year when he did it. You know, CJ had a bad year when he did it. You know, there is some truth to the GoDaddy curse from what it seems like. But I don't even think we're doing GoDaddy commercials right now. I don't know who's in them right now. But no, let's not put Spee in it either. No, 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 no. Okay, I'm a fun guy. Players love coming to Toronto. Different country vibe, fresh air, clean city, away from the drama. Yeah, I think we've got our own little bit of a drama in this city. But you know what? We're really lucky because a lot of what I was describing earlier about the New York market for New York teams, and this is with all their sports. It's not just for like the Knicks get treated the same way, the Rangers, the Yankees, you know, they're under a huge microscope and scrutiny constantly because the New York press is always writing shit and all this kind of stuff. We're lucky in Toronto in some ways as the Raptors because the Leafs get such that all that kind of bullshit here. Like the Leafs are over scrutinized, they're over under the microscope, and the Raptors can like not get all that attention, all that scrutiny as much. Well, I mean, we get scrutiny, and our Raptor fans are really tough on the team. Oh yeah, they are. Not us. We're more nice to the team than the other place. That's why we have this sanctuary of positive Raptor fans because there's so many negative Raptor fans. They'll tear down everything. They'll see that game last night and say, yeah, they shouldn't have won. They were lucky they won. And in some ways they're right. But let's look at the bright side of it that we did win instead of just tearing them down for like winning just because they were lucky that they missed the shot and all this kind of stuff. No, you know, we need positivity to balance the negativity. And really the negativity isn't from the press so much here anymore because the press is being a lot more fair to the Raptors in some ways because they respect them more since the championship. And the fans are still kind of, but like I said, the Maple Leafs are kind of like that target and that gets all that kind of bullshit more than we do. Thank God. And I like that. That's good because let them over scrutinize and put them under a microscope and go all over overreact about good and bad for the Leafs, and we'll just kind of like be over here, kind of doing our thing and getting better and better and better. And then when the time comes, they'll start looking at us more again. But Alistair, Tracy McGrady was an NBA guy and made a premature move leaving. It's like the NBA tried to neglected the Raptors having any kind of connection with him, and I never hear of him much here. Yeah, I mean, Tracy is really more well known for his time in Orlando and Houston. At this point, his tenure with the Raptors was pretty short. He was only here for like 2 or 3 years. It was his rookie year was the worst Raptor season ever. They only won 16 games in his rookie year. And then the next year, his cousin came and they started playing together and they were in the new building at the Air Canada Center. And that's right around when I met him. And I was drunk. He yelled at me because I gave him a pen to sign the ticket and the pen didn't work. He said, your pen doesn't work. And he scribbled something and he threw it away. And I like to joke that that's the moment I knew that Tracy didn't want to be in Toronto. But I was just a drunk idiot. And like I was wandering around the Scotiabank Arena halls like an hour or so after the game, still drunk because I worked there and I knew a lot of the people that worked there. And I was just kind of hanging around Lord Stanley's mug and I was an alcoholic and I was all messed up. And I was just hanging around and walking through the alleys. And then I saw him and I was like, there was Tracy. And I was like, oh, it's Tracy McGrady. And I got him to sign. I still have the ticket with his signature on it. But he was. I could tell he was no nonsense. And this is the thing. He was like 19 at that time. He was very young when I met him. So, but yeah, he doesn't get associated with our team that much. I mean, he was drafted by us. He spent a couple of years here, but in some ways he shouldn't have. But the thing that he regrets is not allowing the chance for him and his cousin to try and do things together because they really were a solid pairing and nucleus that could have helped this team. And at that point, we had Oakley and Davis and Willis and Del Curry and Muggsy Bogues. We had a lot of good players around them, Alvin. And, you know, they could have done more on top of what they did against the Sixers and Iverson and missing the shot in that series. They could have done better going into the next season, but Tracy left. And that's what he regrets. He really does. He really does regret that. It may be his biggest regret in his whole entire NBA career because he never won anything. And maybe he realized that maybe his best chance was with Toronto in the beginning with Vince. And he didn't even realize it till later. Darren, Sky's D is getting much better. Yeah, his D is way better. Like last night, he took another leap, and a lot of people are noticing it. A lot of people are noticing how much better his defense was. And part of it is that we don't have Precious and Kem out there to do some of the stuff. So it really is falling into his lap. And he's like the last line of defense. And he did a good job. He's done a really, really good job. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm pretty sure you're talking about the LeBron with the diva stuff. Alistair, 2 more years left of the superstars era, then the league is all ours. I believe this. I really do. Chef keeps talking about this also on his channel, NBA Chef. He's saying, once these guys retire, when Kevin Durant and LeBron James are out of the league, it's going to be a different kind of league because it'll be a lot more parity. There will be a lot more different teams that are pretty good and have a chance to compete. It'll be more like the playoffs last year where Phoenix and Milwaukee got to the top and they were the 2 teams fighting for it. That any team that's well built and has a pretty good collection of talent, a good coach, good management, they can compete. And it won't just be you compete because you have LeBron James or you compete because you have Kevin Durant. It's going to be different because it's going to be a lot more even overall in the whole league. Let's see. Darren missed 4 threes in a row. Svi is no Decker. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. Like I said yesterday, I think his mechanics are a little bit off. But once he gets his confidence from making closer shots and doing great things on defense, everything's going to be fine. He's going to get it together and look better. And I think actually he kind of turned the corner last night in the second half. Like hopefully maybe in the next game against Sacramento, we'll see him make his shots like right off the bat. And we won't have any of these like, oh, he missed the shot again. Oh, he's missing his shot again. Take him out. Take him out. Let's see. Darren, Pascal had a good defensive game, but his shooting was so sad. Yeah, and that's going to happen sometimes. It could be partly that, he had to play against bigger, stronger defenders. Julius Randle is tough to have him guarding him, especially down low. If he's not moving around too much and trying to beat him with speed, he's going to muscle him and make it hard for him to make the shots over him. And I think that's part of what happened with Pascal and his offense last night, that he was just playing against stronger defenders. And they can mess him up down low. But it didn't matter in some ways. Like I said, he did so many good things other than scoring. Let me just look at the box score real quick and just run over like things like this. The first quarter last night was amazing. Getting a 31-14 lead in the first quarter was just fantastic. I was giddy. But then again, in the second quarter, they allowed them to outscore them 28-19. That's just not good, and let them get back in the game. Because we had them way down and we were beating them so good. And then, even in the second half, they outscored us some more. And we need just enough to beat them. We had just enough to beat them. And if they make that 3, it's tied. And, we don't want that. It's really bad. But, oh, yeah, Siakam, we talked about him. Boucher, 5 for 11. He hit a 3. He got 8 rebounds, but 5 of the rebounds were offensive. That's fantastic. That's really, really good. Scotty Barnes, amazing game, 15 rebounds, 12 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and he shot 50% again. He shoots 6 for 12. He's almost like automatically 50% every game. Fred didn't shoot as well either, 4 for 13, 4 for 11 from 3. He hit all of his free throws. He had 6 rebounds for a little short 6-foot guy and 11 assists, 3 steals. He only had 3 turnovers last night. That's actually really good for Fred because Fred's been getting a little bit high on the turnovers here and there. He still got 17 points, and he hit important shots late that kept us ahead, and that's a big part. Gary Trent, what can I say more about Gary? Gary's our shooter for sure because he's really not doing a whole lot on the stats other than steals with that. And Yuta, fine. The bench was the bench. All right, guys, I'm going to go. Let's see. Alistair, Pascal tried to take the last shot for us, even though he missed. He at least stepped up. Yeah, he's trying. They're going to go in at some point. He's still figuring it out. It's like DeMar had to figure out how to win games in the middle of his career too, and he's gotten real good at it by now. So if Pascal can be like DeMar, go through the fire, have some failure, but pick up success eventually because you just became that veteran guy and you just won't lose. I think that he's going to be like DeMar in that way. He's going to look bad for a while in his career, but he's eventually going to get it together. Okay, Darren, what happened right? Another weak game, not fourth quarter effort. Yeah, I don't know if it was that. I think our effort was really good. I think in some ways our offense was stalling too much last night. Like we were missing way too many shots. The defense was pretty solid throughout the whole game. It's just that when you go through these periods of time where you can't even buy a basket, nothing's going in for you, and the other team's still scoring, it looks bad. So it really is trying to get more efficient and effective on our offense at all times. because we get these stagnant periods where we can't score for like 5 minutes. We don't get a field goal. That's really bad. That's really bad. That's the stuff that I'm worried about more than the defense keeping up for the whole game, because the defense is looking pretty good and solid and giving a good effort throughout the whole game. There's not a lot of breakdowns in the last 2 games. There were in games before that earlier this week. But in the last 2 games, the defense is much better, and it's the offense stagnating. It's really causing us problems. Gary is back. Oh, yeah. 4 quarters of effort. Let's go. Let's go, Lumpy. Let's go, Darren in Jakarta. Let's go, Starscream in Brooklyn. Let's go, baby. All right, Raptors, 2 days from now, Sacramento here in Toronto. Last game of the 7-game homestand. Let's get it and get I guess that would that make us winning in this homestand? That means we got 3-3. So we got to win this one. So we'll be 4-3 on this homestand, and at least we have a winning homestand. And then the very next night, we go see Starscream's team in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets. But tomorrow, it's an off day. So guess what? 9:30 a.m. Eastern time sharp, Raptor Freak Trivia number 6. So come and get some points. I believe our leader is Steve Sleeve. We got Alistair at number 2. G is at number 3 in the list. So come and get some points tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern time sharp. I'll be there sharp, 9:30 Eastern. All right, guys, let's go, Raptors Nation. We beat New York again. This is not what the new NBA wanted. The NBA wanted the Knicks to beat us in the commemorative 75th game of the first game of the NBA ever. They wanted us to lose that game in New York, but we didn't. And then they wanted us to lose this game in Toronto last night against New York, but we didn't. So, hey, all right, let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Nets. Woo! Yeah! Woo!